Hello, everybody. Welcome back. For the very last part of the session, I really wanted to deal with one or two comments and questions that have come through to me in the chat. And also, I really wanted to push back on you and challenge you to really think about what sort of a change leader it is that you want to be, what sort of a mark you're going to make, how you are going to behave, and how you are going to lead by example as you implement those changes in your practice. First of all, one of the questions that has come through was from somebody that very perceptively noticed that I had used the word but instead of and. So when I talked about dealing with resistance and dealing with challenge, I said, I can hear that you're finding this change quite frustrating, and I really need you to adapt your behavior in X, Y, and Z ways. Now, the reason that I've done that is because when the stakes are raised and when there's conflict, we can find that the word but can be a barrier term and it can negate everything that went before. So listen to these two phrases. Number one, the girl was beautiful and tall. Number two, the girl was beautiful but tall. So we can see really that sometimes those words like but and however is just a posh but can tend to negate everything that went before. So be really careful about the language that you use. We want you, as you lead change going forward, you want to lead change in an assertive manner. You want to use and choose positive language. And also, as I will remind you of some of the things that we talked about on previous modules, the leader has got a massive impact. So some of the research that we showed you earlier on about why changes succeed or fail comes down to the buy-in and the actions of the leader, and therefore the engagement of the people as you go through the change. So what we wanted to talk through with you today really was to get you to appreciate the real importance of embracing that change, and having a real mindset of change. So seeing yourself as an agent of change and as somebody who will be not only positive towards change, but help other people also around you and to be positive through that change. We've offered you this John Kotter step-by-step model, which you have both on the box, but also we will send you this afterwards. And we really want you, as you leave here today, to have a conversation with some of the people around you that are also responsible for supporting you or for leading the change with you, and really work through these steps with them. So, get that sense of urgency, talk about your coalition, decide together who are going to be your key players, develop that vision. So thinking about the vision, is it inspirational? Is it simple? Is it clear? How are you going to share that with people? Who's going to share it? What's your communication plan? How are you going to think about the change curve and empower people to act and to overcome their resistance? Sometimes people aren't even aware of their own resistance, and we need to help them to see that. So we suggest sharing the change curve and sharing some of the tools and techniques that you have explored with us today with your people. Then securing those short-term wins. So as you lead the change, what are some of those short-term wins that you can identify? How can you celebrate those successes? How can you recognize progress? How can you then keep on confirming and keeping on moving? And how can you harness any momentum, continually improve? Share best practice both within and outside of your own practice. Learn from others. Like we've already seen here today, how some of you have been successfully implementing some changes that others are on the beginning of. So how can you, within your coalition and your stakeholder map, how can you look outside of your practice to other industry experts? What are they doing? What works? bring evidence, bring people, bring quotes from people who have successfully implemented these changes to share some of their successes as you confirm and keep moving. Then you can anchor the change. And then you can push people to move forward with the change and keep on moving forward. So before I end, what I would really like to hear from some of you, both in the chat and maybe verbally, if I'm fortunate enough to get one or two of you to say something verbally, what are you taking away from today to become a leader of change? What are you going to apply? What are you going to take back to work? What's been one of the most useful things you've heard today, either from me or from each other or from some of our other speakers? So who would raise their hand? Could we get a couple of people to share some insights, some key takeaways? Thank you, Anastasia. Empower others to act. Who else? In fact, I've just had a reminder from Tom that we're going to get some of your inputs actually on the Mentimeter. And Tom, thank you for that reminder. Let's do that. We're also getting some comments in the chat. We can keep both going in parallel, but I think it will be really useful to share some of those takeaways, because seeing what others are thinking about doing and are going to do can empower everybody to act. So Tom, please do share the final poll and the final Mentimeter of the day. So if we move on to the next one, actually, sorry, not this one, the final Mentimeter of the day. Excellent, thank you. So what one action are you going to take as a leader of change as you leave here? What are you going to do to lead change more effectively? So what I'm hoping that we see appearing on the screen now, some of you have already done it in chat. Thank you to those people. But please do write it in. So we're going to see, what are people taking away? What's been useful? And if anybody would like to make a verbal comment, which I would really like somebody to do, please do raise your hand. We're going to be closing now in a couple of minutes. So it would be really useful to hear any comments or any questions from anybody else before we close. If you've got any questions for me before you close, please type them into the chat as well. Great. So we're seeing a lot about vision, sense of urgency, instigate action. And I like what somebody said about being more firm when you deliver the message and keep reiterating. There's an assertiveness technique called the broken record technique, whereby you continue to say the message in a calm, in an assertive way, and you make it clear to people, this is what's going to happen. Communication plan, a clear vision. So guys, I'm really pleased to see so many ideas appearing on the screen that you're going to take away. We are going to send you further resources afterwards. We're going to send you some more links and some of the resources that we mentioned today. You'll also have the Cotter model. And I would like to say a really big thank you for engaging with me, for listening. And to those of you that participated verbally, who were brave enough to come forward, thank you very, very much for doing that as well.